captive every thought, as well as guard our hearts, because everything we do flows from our heart. And then yesterday we recognized another scheme of the devil to keep us from hitting the target is anxiety and fear. And this can make us question why bad things happen to us. We think that stretching of the bow and the pulling backwards of the arrow means something's wrong. But we need to remember that tension, while it can seem negative, but once we release the tension of pulling back on the string, that release can actually propel the arrow in the direction we want it to go with enough force to make it to the target. We need to recognize that while tension in our life is uncomfortable, good can come from bad. Hard things in life can actually move us towards our purpose, which brings us to today. So now that you know the long-term goals, you've identified the places that can trip you up and keep you from the goal, you can avoid them, and you can spend time actually practicing the skills and putting into practice the things you need to do to move towards your goal. So how can you bless or serve those around you each and every day? Yes, we want to fulfill the big purpose, that target that we have, that God has for our lives. But that purpose is almost always lived out every day, long before the opportunity to do a really big thing that people see. So in the U.S., we're fed the lie that life is all about me and what I need. Social media turns us inward to compare what we don't have with what others present themselves as having plenty of. But the truth is, it's not about what you need. It's about what you are needed for. I'm going to say that again. It's not about what you need. It's about what you are needed for. The famous actor Jim Carrey once said, "I think everyone should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so they can see that it's not the answer." He has riches and fame, and he knows that it's not the answer. John D. Rockefeller was the world's first billionaire, and he was asked, "How much money is enough?" And his answer was, "Just a little bit more." That's that greed that we feel. So Cheryl Anderson wrote about him. At 38 years old, he controlled 90% of all the U.S. oil. And at 50 years old, he was the richest man in America. Every step of his early life was a strategy. Every move was calculated to build wealth. He succeeded beyond imagination. But at 53 years old, his body began to break. He lost his hair. He could barely eat. Doctors told him, "You don't have long." He could buy anything he wanted, but he could only stomach soup and crackers. No joy, no peace, no rest. The richest man alive was slowly dying. And then something shifted for him. One morning he realized a truth that no money could silence. He couldn't take a single dollar with him. That day, Rockefeller made a decision. He would give it all back. Hospitals, universities, scientific research. He funded the penicillin breakthrough that would save millions. He launched the Rockefeller Foundation, and he rewrote his legacy. And something miraculous happened. The man who was told that he wouldn't survive the year lived to be 98 years old. He didn't just get healed, he found purpose. Later in life, he wrote, "God taught me that everything belongs to him. My life has been one long happy holiday since then, full of work and play. I let go of my worries along the road, and God was wonderful to me every day." From a billionaire to a benefactor, from empire to empathy. Sometimes the richest thing a man can do is give it all away. We often think that getting what we want will make us happy, but it won't. Because God made us for relationships, not for ourselves. During the 6 days of creation, what does the Bible say at the end of each day? Someone tell me. At the end of each day, God saw. It was good. Thank you. But what was the only thing God said was not good? Does anyone remember? Oh, I see a hand. Yes, that's true. In this story, Genesis 2:18, the Lord God said, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him." So we are made for relationships. A motto that we had in our family was, "See a need, meet a need." In other words, be looking around you at how you can be the hands and the feet of Jesus rather than what others can do for you. So how can you take your skills and your abilities, make them available to meet the needs of those around you? At any given moment, your unique talents, skills, and personality are exactly what are needed somewhere else. And that need that you have, there's someone out there who has the skills and talents to meet your need. When God said it's not good to be alone, he means we are not created to meet our own needs, but to be available to others. And in return, they will be available to us when we need them. So the year was 1934. Mordecai Ham was a tent revival preacher who was speaking at Charlotte, North Carolina. Two 16-year-old boys walked up to the tent, but when they didn't see any seats, they turned and walked away. An usher, a man we don't even know the name of, saw them walk away, ran after them. He grabbed them, told them he would find seats for them together, which he did. During the revival services, those two boys gave their lives to Christ. Their names, Grady Wilson and Billy Graham. Billy Graham went on to become the greatest revival preacher the world has ever known, and the other man became the first president of the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association and helped organize the revival meetings. But none of that would have happened if one man hadn't taken his job as an usher seriously. That man took his skills, I'm guessing he was a people person, and his opportunity, he was given the chance to help seat people at this tent revival, he took those very seriously. He didn't see it as something he was doing to fill his time until the really important stuff came along. He saw two 16-year-old boys for what they were. They had a need, and he had the answer, and he used his skills as an usher to find them a seat so that they could hear the greatest message of God's love and forgiveness. Yet we don't even know the usher's name. Remember, your job is not to change the world, but to change somebody's world. I'm going to say that again. Your job is not to change the whole world, but to change somebody's world. Jesus already changed the whole world. Now you need to be offering your gifts and talents and opportunities to the world around you to bless and change the world one person at a time. And as you do that, you will live into the bigger purpose that you were called to. But sometimes we question whether we're going in the right direction or doing what God is calling us to do. We wish we knew what God's plan was for us so that we didn't have to use faith to follow God into the unknown. Imagine driving down the road at night. It's pitch black. You can only see ahead of you where the headlights are shining. The road is windy and unfamiliar because you've never driven this road before. Now, imagine if you demanded to stop the car and wait to drive the car until you have a map of the whole road and daylight to prove that the road actually continues. If someone would do that, we would probably declare they were crazy. We've all driven on a road. We've all been on a road driving down it at probably 55 miles an hour, or if we were on the highway, 65 to 70 miles an hour, even if it's a road we've never been on. We have enough faith in the people who have designed and built roads in this country to believe that that road will continue. We also have faith in our headlights that they will continue to shine brightly so that we can see enough of the road ahead of us until we reach the destination. So why do we struggle to have faith that God has a plan and a path for us to follow? Why do we doubt that he will reveal the next steps as they come? I've never known anyone who stops a car because the headlights are only shining approximately 300 feet ahead of them. No, everyone I know believes that as you keep moving forward, you keep seeing more of the road. The road is revealed as you go in the direction you need to go, but you only get a small amount of light revealing the road ahead of you. If you stop, the amount of light that you see will stay limited to where your car is. Just like as you move forward, God will keep revealing the next step slowly but consistently, matching the pace at which you are trusting him. Why are we tempted to demand that he show us the whole plan before we take one step? If you can have faith in an inanimate, unfeeling pile of metal that has proven that it will turn on when you turn the key and drive down the road, and that the headlights will show you where you need to go, then you have enough faith to believe in God, who is very real and very alive, and that his light will shine just far enough ahead of you on their way to show you where the road goes next. You have faith in many things that you cannot see. They've proven themselves faithful many times, and so you continue to believe that they will do what they were made to do. You don't see electricity flowing in the wires in this place, but you have faith that when you turn on the light switch, a light will shine in the darkness of your room. You can't see the water pump or see how the water heater is heating up the water in the tank, but you believe that when you turn on that faucet in the bathroom, water will flow out, and even if you turn it a certain direction, you'll get hot water. It's happened many times, so you have faith and believe that it will continue to happen. In the same way, God has been faithful so many times before to you and to many other people who have come before you. Now you need to exercise that same faith in God as you do in a car that drives, a light switch that causes lights to come on, a faucet that has water flow out of it. 2 Corinthians 2:5 says, "For we live by faith, not by sight." So how do we develop that faith in God leading us and learn to listen and follow God's leading? We choose connection, first to God and then to other people. So I'm going to illustrate with a guitar. Gael has agreed to help me with this. You can come on up, Gael. And just out of curiosity, how many of you play guitar out there? Raise your hands. Okay, so a few of you. Okay, so Gael, tell me, what are these things that stretch from here to there?
These are strings.
Okay, so they're strings. If I just had a string by itself that wasn't attached to the guitar, would that play any music?
No.
No, okay. So why wouldn't it be able to play anything? Because it needs to be connected to what?
The guitar.
Uh-huh. And what is this up here called?
The head.
Okay, so this is the head, and then what is this part down here called?
Body.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have the strings attached to the head and the body. Just so, and if we weren't attached to both of those, there'd be no music, correct? Okay, so just like if you're connected to God, but you're not plugged into a community of believers, you're only connected to half of what you need. And if you're only connected to a body of believers, but you're not connected to God on a daily basis, you're just not part of a nice social group. Okay, so now we've got the string connected. So what is needed so this string is connected up here, and what do you do with that? Okay, so you tune it, you're turning it, you're adding tension to it. But I don't want tension and problems in my life. So can't I just loosen that and just let the string be nice and loose?
It won't make the right sound.
Okay, so it won't make the right sound. So we need tension, just like God can bring good things out of the hard things in your life. So finally, have you ever had a string break on your guitar?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you just throw the whole guitar away?
No.
No, good. I'm glad you hesitated. I wondered. Okay, so what did you do? If a string breaks, what do you do?
I get a new string.
Yeah, so you get a new string, and then you tune it. Just like in your life, when things get hard, it feels like you've been broken. You don't just throw away your faith in God and the community. You may need to throw away a wrong belief about yourself, or maybe even a wrong belief about religion, and replace it with truth. But this guitar's purpose is to play beautiful music. Could you play a few chords for us? Okay, so good job. So to give up making music simply because a string broke would be a waste of that instrument. In a similar way, don't throw away fulfilling the purpose of your life simply because things have gotten hard and you've experienced pain and brokenness. So thank you, Gael. Give him a hand. So we need connection. Remember that water without a fish is still water, But a fish without water is a dead fish. It's nothing. And then soil without a tree is still soil, but a tree without soil is nothing. It's dead. Just like God without humans is still God, but humans without God are nothing. So you need to be daily connecting with that source of life. Connection to God is like the air that you breathe, or the soil for the tree, or the water for the fish. If you have that connection daily with God, then you will be able to aim towards the purpose that you have been called to. And living towards that purpose means choosing daily how to live your life. But it's so easy to forget and to put off the connection to God regularly or deeply. The temptation is to allow our faith to be a title. I'm a Christian, and not a way that you live. As I said on Monday, unlike the color of your eyes or your hair, faith is not genetic. The choice to follow God is completely up to you. And even if you call yourself a Christian, that's not what I'm talking about. So let me illustrate. When I was 21 years old, I took the name Martin for my last name. And during a small private ceremony, I made a covenant or a promise to be a wife as long as I live on earth. But imagine if I went around introducing myself as Rebecca Martin to those I met, but I went and decided and told my husband that I wasn't going to live in our home. Imagine if I told him that I was going to come visit him for an hour or two once a week, but the rest of the time I was going to live like a single woman. I was going to go get my own apartment. I was going to go on dates with other guys. Imagine if I only ate at home a few times a week, and I only called home every now and then, and really only just to ask for something I needed. So first of all, if I lived like that, and then I asked my husband for something and he didn't provide it, would I have a right to be angry and blame him for not giving it to me? No, of course not. And what kind of marriage would that be? Terrible. That'd be an awful marriage. Yet, that is how many of us treat our relationship with God. We visit God in his sanctuary once a week for an hour or two, but we really only talk to him when we want something. And yet, then we get angry and we blame him for things when we have a completely superficial relationship with him. Compare that to how my marriage actually is. We've been married and we've lived together for 28 years. We regularly eat meals together, and we just went on an adventure together where we snorkeled with sea turtles, colorful fish, and even an octopus. We enjoy life together daily. That is relationship. In order to accomplish the big picture purpose for your life, you have to develop an intimate, daily relationship with God where you're walking together through life, through the adventures of life. Here are some ways to do that. So what are you filling your mind with? Music is a huge weapon that we can use to fight selfishness and draw near to God. Choose music that's glorifying to God. Remember, music is one of the most powerful tools. It's why music goes along with commercials and movies, because it has the power to move us, and we remember those tunes and those lyrics. So a good test of whether you should be listening to a particular song or a particular artist is to think about how you would feel if Jesus went to a concert of that artist with you. Would he be jumping up and down with you as you listen to the lyrics and music? Would he be swaying side by side with his arm around your shoulder, enjoying it just as much as you? Or would he be blushing at the lyrics that glorify inappropriate relationship, or at language that should be rated PG-13 or even R? Is God gently trying to take your arm and draw you away from music that's drawing you away from him? We like to think that we listen to music for the beat or for the tune, but the truth is those lyrics drill deep down into your soul, even if you don't realize it. So I'm encouraging you to take the next month to really look at your music choices carefully and determine if there are artists or songs that you need to eliminate from your song diet. On a similar note, I want to challenge you to do the same exercise with the things that you feed your eyes. The movies that you're watching. Is there language or intimacy between unmarried people or other immoral things that are being normalized? What about your social media accounts? I'm sure that you all know that your social media is feeding you more of what you click on or you look at. Now, I'm happy to say that I've actually trained my Instagram account to feed me videos and things from inspirational speakers and Christians who have deep thoughts to share. In fact, some of the ideas from the talks this week have come from some of the short videos that I've watched on Instagram over the last few months. Even though there is a lot of bad out there on social media, there's also a lot of good out there. And if you can be disciplined in teaching your social media platforms to give you good and inspirational information and videos, then take advantage of that. But if you cannot be disciplined, then I would strongly encourage you to delete those accounts that are causing you problems and putting distance between you and God, or the ones that simply cause you to focus more on comparison between what others have and what you do not. Next, even though you attend a Christian school and you probably have assignments that are connected to the Bible, are you spending time on your own in the Word with God? So if you struggle to do those things, I encourage you to customize your relationship to God to fit the things that draw you to Him. So I'll give you a personal example. For years, I tried to be the good Christian and sit and pray with my eyes shut. I cannot describe to you how much guilt I felt after I watched the movie The War Room, because I am like Doug the dog from the movie Up. Some of you remember every time Doug saw a squirrel, he would get distracted and squirrel. That's how I felt during prayer time. I would be like squirrel, thinking about all the other things instead of what I was trying to pray about. Now, don't get me wrong. For those of you who can sit down and close your eyes and focus on praying, wonderful. If that works for you, keep doing it. Great. I love the idea behind the movie. But for me, I have to stay active. It took me years to figure this out, so I'm going to give it to all of you active people out there. I have found that when I'm taking a walk, I can actually focus better on prayer than when I'm sitting with my eyes closed. There's something about my body being in motion that allows my mind to free itself from the many things it wants to think about, and I can actually focus on actually praying. So for me, a daily prayer walk has been something that I have prioritized every day. My point is, customize what works for you. Just like one of your friends, you might always go out and get coffee together with them. Another friend might be your movie-watching friend. Figure out how you and God connect in the best way possible. For me, I feel closest to God when I'm outdoors near nature. Also, I'm listening to worship music. So those are parts of my daily prayer and worship routine. So please take time to think through what choices you're going to make with your music, your social media, with your time with God, and be intentional in growing a close, personal relationship with the Creator of your soul. Okay, so you were given a paper. At the top, I'd like you to write down the general purpose you feel towards being called. I filled out one for myself. Don't get overwhelmed. I tried to write as many ideas as I could to get you thinking about how you would describe yourself. So, and there's no right or wrong answers. This is simply an inventory of yourself and how you can best serve. So if you notice, the last category is about hardships you experienced. None of us like to think about those things. Most people think those are the things that keep us from where we want to go and need to be forgotten and put behind us. But what I've noticed is often when you dig into the stories of people who are using their gifts and talents and serving God, you'll find that they found their purpose as they dealt with and healed from their traumas and difficulties. So don't look at the hard things that happened to you as liabilities or something to try and ignore or hide, but rather as something that could be an asset to you in finding and living out your purpose and passion. As you fill out this paper, I want you to pay special attention to that category. Your purpose may be connected to what you went through because you have a special ability to help someone else going through that. You can fill it out now or you can fill it out later, but as you're doing it, I ask you to ask God to show you the opportunities you should take based on what you have to offer. And then this afternoon, if you could share that with your Heart of Central groups at the end of the day, that would be great. So right now, I'd like to take a quick survey and see what people are feeling called towards. I did make a list, I compiled a list of what you all wrote down on Monday, which was very interesting. But I'd like to just, by a show of hands, is there anyone who is feeling called towards ministry? I'd love to see who's sort of feeling that ministry calling. Raise your hand. Okay. What about missions? Are there any of you feeling called towards missions? Raise your hands. What about the medical field? Any of you feel medical fields? Yeah. Leadership. Raise your hand if you're feeling called towards leadership. Creative arts, like music or art. The helping professions. And then trades such as like hospitality, like a chef or something like that. Or someone who works with their hands. What about education? Okay. So every day I have intentionally used the word choose. I believe there's incredible power in that word to alter your destiny. Every day you have the freedom to make choices. You can choose what you spend your time doing. You can choose who you're friends with. You can choose what your attitude is. You can choose how to respond to hard situations. You can choose how to respond to difficult emotions. There are some choices that will help you. They will help you be a healthier and better human being. Some choices will help you become stronger in your faith. In fact, you are a lot like your algorithm on your Instagram feed. What you focus on will feed what you continue to focus on. How you choose to act today will influence how you act tomorrow. If you get the ball rolling in a positive direction, it's easier to let that ball keep rolling in that direction. Now, if you have been going in a negative direction and you choose to turn and go in a positive direction, it will be hard at first, but it will get easier as you continue to choose to do the right thing. So what will you choose today? There was a man in a field with a fence down the middle. Satan was on one side of the fence, God was on the other side of the fence. Satan invited that man to come to his side of the fence. He told him he would give him everything he wanted. He told him God wouldn't give him what Satan would give him. The man considered his options, and then with a sly smile, he sauntered over to the fence, and he sat on the fence, because he didn't want to have to choose between God and Satan. A moment later, everything went dark, and the man was sliding into the abyss. He cried out, "No, no, this isn't right. I didn't choose you, Satan. I don't belong here in hell." Satan's simple answer was, "The fence belongs to me." Don't be deceived into thinking you don't have to choose God or purpose for your life. Because in trying to sit on the fence, you're not following God in faith. Some of you today are like a person who is on Satan's side of the field. You know you're not on God's side of the fence, and for now, but you're choosing to stay there. I would remind you of the rope that I showed you on Monday. We're here on that small pink part of the rope. Is choosing yourself today worth the consequences that will bring the rest of eternity? Some of you are sitting on the fence because you think it means you're keeping everyone happy. You're giving some of yourself to God. You're living some of your life for yourself. And to you, I would remind you of God's word in Revelation 3:15 and 16, which says, "I know your deeds, that you are neither hot nor cold. I wish you were either one or the other. So because you are lukewarm, neither hot or cold, I am about to spit you out of my mouth." You may be spiritually lukewarm and haven't been ready to commit your life to live fully for God, or you may be committed to God, but you haven't fully committed to how to live that out practically every day. So right now, I'm going to offer you some choices, and in a minute, I'm going to have everybody close your eyes, and as I offer you these choices, you will have the option to stand up. And I know in a room full of people this age, it's easy to think about what everyone beside me is doing and to be listening to, well, did they stand up? Are they still sitting? But I'd really like you to just focus on you and God and these choices and not think about what the people around you are doing. So I'm going to invite you to stand for a whole list of choices, and at the end, I'm going to pray for all of us. So right now, go ahead and close your eyes. For those who are ready to choose to walk towards their purpose, I invite you to stand now. For those who are choosing to speak the truth over their lives from the seeds of inadequacy that have been planted in your life, I invite you to stand now. For those who are choosing to cling to peace and hope when you feel anxious and fearful, I invite you to stand. For those of you who are choosing to take an inventory of your music and choose to eliminate some songs or artists from your musical diet, I invite you to stand. For those of you who are choosing to eliminate certain types of movies from what you fill your eyes and mind with, I invite you to stand. For those of you who are choosing to be intentional with your social media accounts, I invite you to stand. For those of you who are choosing to customize your daily time with God, I invite you to stand. For those of you who are in the field with Satan and are choosing to go over to God's side, I would invite you to stand. For those of you who are on the fence, today is the day to recognize the fence belongs to Satan and choose to get off the fence. I invite you to stand. Lord, I thank you for each person who's here. I thank you that you gave us the choice years ago in the Garden of Eden, and I pray that you will help each one continue to choose you each day. I pray for courage to do the right thing. I pray for courage to be who you were created to be. Pray for peace over those who have struggled with peace. I pray for each one here to follow you daily and to be who they were created to be. In Jesus' name, amen. I thank you all for listening to me this week. And again, if you want to come and talk to me afterwards, or if you want to set up a time to talk to me, I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much. You are dismissed.
Going to give a few instructions for CSD, and then we will send you to your worksite groups, okay? So high school, Heart of Central, report to the PAC. Thank you. Now you're dismissed. Have a great day.